With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. February 2004, so 14 years ago almost, Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ came out. It hit theaters. It hit it hard. It made a lot of money at the time. It was, I do believe, the highest grossing R-rated movie ever. You had religious people in droves. I'm talking like I would read stories about how churches would load up their parishioners into vans and they would bus them to the theater like it's voting day and get in there and go see this movie multiple times. I don't know about you, but I didn't really care for it. Mostly because I'm not into snuff films, but apparently them Christians, super into snuff. Go figure. Go figure. So it says here that Caviezel is set to reprise his role in Mel Gibson's Passion sequel. Is this going to be called 3 Days in a Cave? Is that what's going to happen here? So it says that Jim Caviezel, the Count of Monte Cristo, the Thin Red Line, is in talks to reprise the role of Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's upcoming sequel to The Passion of the Christ. The film will reportedly cover the resurrection of Christ. See, I called it 3 Days in a Cave. That's what they're going to call it. I want to know how exactly he's going to handle the ascension to heaven. Please tell me it's his, like, Zeppelin's stairway to heaven. That would just be icing on the cake. Caviezel says here, there are things I cannot say that will shock the audience. It is great. Stay tuned. I won't tell you how he'll go about it. This obviously is reference to Mel Gibson, but I'll tell you this much. The film's going to be the biggest film in history. It's that good. Now, look, I understand the desire, the need, the will to push something like this through as being the biggest of the big, the best of the best. But at the same time, really? You're telling me? I'm as a moviegoer, as a movie fan, as all these things, I just kind of have to stop for a hot second and ask that question. Do you really think that Passion of the Christ 2 is going to be bigger than, let's say, Avengers Infinity War or Avatar sequels? I don't think so. Now, in terms of a box office response, maybe. If you look at how much money Passion made, it was a fair amount. But it's not just Passion that did very well financially. Faith-based films do very well. It is a very huge market, and it's one that has been growing in terms of theatrical return, box office returns. Every year, faith-based films come out, and they end up doing pretty well, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of people who are religious, who want to go and congregate with their fellow religious individuals, want to go see these kind of movies, and they will go see them. They will pay money for them. It's one of the reasons, same concept behind Tyler Perry being as big as Tyler Perry is, has a lot to do ultimately with his connection with the Black community and his connection with people of faith, because he is, well, both, and he plays on that pretty well. Now, Caviezel played the role in 2004 Passion of the Christ, which grossed $612 million during its worldwide run. The film was nominated for 3 Academy Awards in 2005, and it is the highest grossing non-English language film in history. It is the 5th highest grossing film worldwide with an R rating. And at the time it was the highest grossing, and then Deadpool came along and pretty much just destroyed everything. But I will say, the movie itself was very well made. Gibson is a fantastic director. And if you're looking to see a Gibson movie that I feel is better than Passion of the Christ overall, I mean, actually, I'd say pretty much in every conceivable way, Apocalypto from 2 years later. That film is amazing and got completely snubbed at the box office and at the Oscars. So yeah, it goes on to say that Passion of the Christ starred Caviezel, Monica Bellucci as Mary Magdalene, Maya Morgenstern as the Virgin Mary, and was shot in Aramaic, vernacular, Hebrew, and Latin. Gibson co-wrote, directed, and produced the film. The sequel is being written by Randall Wallace, who wrote Braveheart. As well as that one Vietnam movie that Gibson was in, like We Are Our Fathers or something of the Fathers or whatever, or We Are Soldiers, I forget. But so Randall Wallace is a good screenwriter, and him coming in to tackle this project could be interesting. Given, I mean, he wrote Braveheart, and people would look at that as saying, oh, the story of William Wallace was so accurate to society, or to history. It wasn't, but it was played up well enough to where people simply don't care. This is probably another one of those situations where they're going to be like, okay, there's the resurrection. He was crucified. He died on the cross. They put his body in a cave. 3 days later, he returned. And then he ascended to heaven is the truncated version of that story. But what happens after Jesus gets out of the cave is going to be very interesting. And now I know Family Guy's made jokes about this. Other shows have made jokes about this. Ultimately, what I want is Tarantino to handle this story. If Tarantino does like 3 days out of 3 days in the cave or whatever, that's what I'm going to call it. It would be nothing but Jesus getting revenge on the Romans and smiting the Jews. However, it's a Hollywood movie, so that last part won't happen. Let's just be fair. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this. I'm very curious to see what is going to come of this. I felt Caviezel's performance was very good. It takes a lot of effort to basically be that level of bloody for a couple hours and you know, not walk away completely broken of a person. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, because if anything, the response to the movie will be quite fascinating to watch across social media. And honestly, look, if I'm being fair, if I'm being honest here, I love Mel Gibson as a director. I feel he did some very dumb things that he has been in Hollywood jail for, you know, and it's been 12 years since that incident took place, and Hollywood is now starting to kind of let him come back. And this movie is going to be a guaranteed moneymaker, so the one thing that will make people forgive all of your transgressions in Hollywood is your box office return. So if that comes back, then Mel Gibson will be entirely copacetic.